this story is not unique. Imagine, for anybody here, that your 21-year-old son or daughter, granddaughter or grandson, one day gets found dead. Not because they had a disease, not because something happened to them in a car accident. It's because they got themselves trapped. And then evil had its day. It just happens too often. So we have been working on this for over 5 years now. Before I was inaugurated, I give a lot of credit to the women in Southern Ohio who came to me with pictures of their sons and daughters who were good students and outstanding athletes, all of whom were dead because of drugs. So we have been aggressive with shutting down pill mills. I mean, it's amazing to me that in 2011, the pill mills were still flourishing in Southern Ohio. And when these folks came to see me, I think they had great doubt as to whether we would do anything as an administration. I mean, isn't that unbelievable? We talk about the failure of our leaders, failure of leadership. So we got on it right away, and we busted a bunch of people down there, and we took doctors' licenses, and we've changed the Ohio State Medical Board into an aggressive operation. And I want to thank the OSMA for recognizing the seriousness of this, the Medical Association, of course the Hospital Association. And then we proceeded to bust people who brought drugs into this state, and according to our Highway Patrol, we've seen the major artery of drug trafficking move out of our state. But, you know, at the same time, we can't take great joy that the drug dealers are operating somewhere else. That's why we need to work together. And I think John this weekend was with a number of people from New England talking about our programs. Then we got together as a group, because we do most things as a team. You know, we have Tracy involved in this battle, and Greg Moody, and you know, and Rick was involved, and of course, and then Bonnie Cantor, who sort of put in charge of this project and pull everybody together, has done a great job. And we're doing start talking. Tonda, we're letting people like you have a way to get out there and talk so that you can find not only solace but also point out to people what we face. And the pharmacy board has really stepped up here in the last year or so to try to do the things we need to do. So I think the message to Ohioans, despite the fact that we still see a tsunami of drugs, is that we're not going to give up in this state until we win more and more battles, maybe ultimately the war. But it's tough, and we can't just whistle past the problem here. And we are seeing fewer prescriptions being written, which is good. But we've seen the introduction of fentanyl, which, when laced with heroin, is now a cause of great death. I don't know how many of you know about it, but it's apparently a drug that gets administered to people in their final days of fighting cancer. Now, how the heck we ever went from finding that drug and lacing it with heroin so people could have a 2 or 3 day high, or a 2-day high, is that right, doctor, or a 1-day high, higher than they got with heroin? What is going on in this society? What is happening in this culture when people are spending day and night trying to figure out how to prolong a drug high? So we talk to kids, 5 Minutes for Life, we talk to kids that start talking. I still think that our public schools could do a much better job of opening our emails and having the teachers tell kids about don't do drugs. I mean, whenever I'm with a group of students, particularly college students, I know I sound like Dad. Don't do drugs. You take the first OxyContin and the next thing you know, you're an addict. And once that's on your back, they never get it off. This is a big deal here. This was creative. I mean, I want to say to both the Hospital Association and Pharmacy Board, there was a sense that we should mandate these protocols. And I said I would prefer to have total cooperation in community without the bitterness of a sledgehammer. I said, I'll tell you, if we don't get the cooperation, we're going to have a sledgehammer. Because we're not going to let Tonda's cries go in vain. But you know what? We don't have to use the sledgehammer. Because it's working. I mean, I've actually seen Brent Mulgrew here today. I mean, that in and of itself is a semi-miracle. But in all seriousness, it appears as though with the emergency rooms, the hospital association, the doctors, that we are all signing up for these efforts to try to protect our young people. Not that older people wouldn't do this, but it seems as though this lies primarily with young people. Although the hopelessness, the lack of values in our society, our culture, sometimes leads people to do crazy things that cost them their life. This pharmacist said it best. I mean, one of the problems we have is there's so many rules and so many regulations and so much bureaucracy on the back of our hospitals and our physicians and our pharmacists. You got to make it easy for them. And I don't mean easy because they're lazy or they don't have good intentions. They do. But logging in and out and being run in circles in order to meet a requirement is not the most effective way for them to embrace this aggressively. And Sarah, I think it's fair to say that you like this now. This system works. It's easy to do. And so the state of Ohio has decided to pay for this link that can be embedded in all of the providers, all the people who are in this process can have access to and simplify the process of guarding and really at the end of it saving lives. So Kroger deserves a lot of credit. They've been on the forefront of this from the beginning. We think this will be rolled out aggressively throughout the state. We foresee great adopters. But one more time, I've got to say that we would prefer to do this without mandates. But it has to be done. And we're going to monitor this. And we're going to stay on top of this. And I want the people of this state to know that Ohio is going to do everything we can to win these battles, to engage the war, and save our people from the evils of drug addiction and drug overdose.